1 second. PowerPoint. Sorry, I'm sharing the PowerPoint, so give me 1 moment to get there. All right. Can everybody see that?
It's
awesome.
Beautiful.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ashley worked very hard on it. I support through the process. Okay, Ash, I'm going to let you begin. Yeah, well, you've seen the introduction, gang.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is us as babies, because it just gets worse after age. What age is that? 5, 6?
Right around there. Yes, that's true.
So introduce yourself.
So I'm Kimber. I'm the executive director over here and also a forensic interviewer. Let's see. She gives me a list of things to talk about every time. So I'm a credentialed advocate. I have my bachelor's degree in multidisciplinary studies and applied leadership, and I got bored during the pandemic and started master's school. I apparently make questionable life choices. So that's that. I enjoy running. I enjoy hanging out with my family, and I used to be a Mountain Dew drinker, but this one converted me to the dark side, and now I drink Diet Coke. So it's fine. We're not going to talk about it. Your turn.
That's true. So hi, I'm Ashley Stallings. I'm the program director at Upper Valley Child Advocacy Center. I'm also a trained forensic interviewer, as well as a credentialed advocate. I have my bachelor's degree in psychology and then my master's degree in child advocacy and policy. What else? Let's see.
You also run.
I do run. Football season is my favorite season, so I'm so glad we have football, even though it's a little odd because there's no one in the stands, and we can't go to any live games, so that's kind of a bummer. Diet Coke, I live off that.
Yes.
And then the quickest way is chocolate. I love chocolate. I would eat it all day. Diet Coke and chocolate are my things, so that's us.
This is true. Yes, that's us, and you aren't in person, so we don't need to actually give our usual spiels that we give. But anyhow, so we're going to start right into, we are assuming everybody here is familiar with CACs, but just on the off chance somebody is not, this is a video from the National Children's Alliance, and they are the National Accrediting Association that CACs kind of follow. They have standards for best practices. So we're just going to start there. If you cannot hear, yell at me.
A Children's Advocacy Center, or CAC, provides support to victims of child abuse. Without a CAC, an abused child may have to tell their story over and over again in settings that may be scary or where kids may think that they're in trouble. Then, families have to search around for the services their children need, all on their own. But in a CAC, a child tells their story to a trained interviewer who makes the process gentle on the child and finds the facts which are crucial to the child's case. Then, a community of professionals in medicine, law enforcement and child protective services, prosecution, victim advocacy, and other heroes work through the CAC to decide the best way to help the child. And CACs provide science-backed mental health care that heals kids from trauma and helps them reclaim their futures. This community of caring professionals rallies the child so children have everything they need, all in one place, at the CAC. To find your local CAC or to sign up for updates, visit nationalchildren'salliance.org.
So that is, let me make sure I didn't just make that go twice. That is just a little bit about CACs in a nutshell. There we go. Is it move? There we go. Okay. Go ahead.
Oh, so just about us, Upper Valley Child Advocacy Center in a nutshell. So we are a 501c3, so we're a nonprofit. We are grant and private donation funded. So direct victim services, which is, the majority of what we do, comes at no cost to a child and their non-offending caregiver. So when they come into our center, everything is free to them. And part of why we're doing this webinar today is we also have taken a huge step in public awareness and prevention, which wasn't always typical for child advocacy centers. I would say when we started introducing prevention programs, that was a very foreign concept, at least to child advocacy centers around here. And then also we partner and collaborate with a lot of community partners to meet the needs of our families. So whether that's through counseling or medical exams. Also, obviously, we partner with prosecutor's office and law enforcement and child protective services when we're working cases, but also we have really expanded our collaboration to include schools and community outreach programs like Madison Cares is a program that's connected to the schools, but it also works with the community where we provide prevention programs. So just really thinking outside of the box as far as like, as a CAC, who can we collaborate with is really, I think, where our prevention has really taken off. So
yes, I would agree with that. So this might be kind of a funny concept to think of, but while some would call, you have your intervention services and your prevention services, we view our intervention services as part of our prevention program. And we want to show you this video. It comes from Small Voices CAC. So you get a feel for what a child experiences when they come here. And so we can kind of help you see how all of our work can be prevention and should be prevention. So here we go.
The first thing that we did when we found out that something had happened to Penny was to call the police. And so when we went down to file a report, her father and I, they told us about the Child Advocacy Center and how basically they were going to be the ones who would lead us through the process and they would be able to help us as a family. And they immediately gave us one person, one point of contact as an advocate, which was really helpful because then you don't have to, talk to a whole bunch of people and explain something traumatic over and over again. It's just talking to that one person, which was great. And so she set up the appointment for us to first come in and led us through exactly what to expect when we came in, which was really helpful. And I think I probably called her back like 5 times before we actually came in because I thought of more questions that I needed answers to beforehand. Our first impression when we first walked in was that it felt really comfortable and homey. It was just like walking into somebody's really big living room. And it looks like a house outside, so it's not an intimidating building to come into. And once you come in, it feels so warm and nice. And the kids were immediately drawn to the books and the toys and stuffed animals and were immediately occupied while adults were trying to figure out what we were supposed to be doing. One of the things that I think Penny remembers is the medical exam.
The medical exam was really scary for me. The doctor explained things to me and made me feel a lot more comfortable.
I think I would tell another parent visiting the CAC for the first time to not feel bad about asking questions and to know that you're only going to add like 100 more by the time you leave, and to know that you can call all the time and ask more questions and that nobody ever gets tired of answering them, and that if they don't have the answers, they will find them for you. So you don't have to feel so alone in it because they're going to be there and they're going to help you get through it.
If I had a friend come here, I would tell them that it's actually kind of fun going here.
Do you think they need to be scared?
No.
We think that the CAC is a really important resource in our community. I think there's nothing else like it. And if it weren't for having it here when we needed it, I don't know how we would have been able to get through everything as successfully as we did. It helps us help other people, which is the one good thing that came out of what happened to Penny and to our family, was that we have better tools now and better resources to be able to help other people. I think if these walls could talk, they would say that while no one comes here for a good reason, everybody leaves here stronger, and that all of the kids and the families that come in here are here to become a stronger family.
We love that video because we try really hard to describe what it's like for a family to come to our center, and you really can't describe it until you've been through it. And I really think that video is one of the best examples I've ever seen of what we hope people feel when they come to our center. With that in mind, advocacy really is prevention. Intervention work is prevention, and I want to explain what that means. Every time a law enforcement officer walks in our door, every time health and welfare comes to our door, our job is to help educate them to see what's going on in this case, but not just this case, to see down the road, to help them understand the science, to maybe trigger in them something where they say, hey, you know, we should get some education or some prevention services in this area or this area. Hey, I'm seeing a lot of cases from the local school. We should get a training put together, because these are our partners and we want them to help us find those. When a family comes in, we can't stop what's already happened to a child. But if we're able to give those parents the tools to identify and move forward, they might be able to help other families, their own family. The statistics on a child that's been victimized once being re-victimized are high. We want to reduce that number, and that is prevention for us. Is it happened, we don't want it to happen again. So we're educating the parents and those non-offending caregivers, whoever they are, so they understand, okay, this is what I can do. We're getting them the support system in place. Sometimes it's checking in to see what's going on with the rest of the family, and those are opportunities to educate. One of my favorite things, and I shouldn't say favorite, but it's one of those silver linings. My favorite silver linings to come out of this is a few years ago, we had a case that involved some children in a school. And the mother that came in with one of these children was just so upset and said, how can we prevent this? How can we keep this from happening? And it was actually a meeting Ashley went to with the school principal, with that mother who was just determined to make sure everybody had the tools to help each other. And they sat down together as a team and came up with some good safety ideas. And we're actually now in that school teaching a prevention program, and we have taught Hope Conquers ACEs to adults there. We've set up for stewards of children. So through something that we don't ever want something bad to happen to a child, but that's an opportunity to say, hey, we see something here. Let's work as a team so this never happens again. Knowing we can't prevent everything, but boy, we sure can try. And if we can try, we should be. So.
Well, and I think the thing I love about that video is at the end, the mom says, now I have the resources and tools to help other people. And so in that intervention moment, we can also provide that prevention to the community, because now she understands the signs. She understands, because when our advocates are in, the child comes in, talks to the forensic interviewer in the
room we're in.
And then there's an advocate with the non-offending caregiver in a conference room going over resources, going over what things are going to look like. I mean, these are things, honestly, that as a community, I think in our community, they're so scary to talk about. No one wants to talk about child abuse. No one wants to think their neighbor or their uncle or their grandpa is capable of such things. And so just that education piece and family, we hope that family is armed with those resources and tools, so that if they see something that doesn't feel right to them, then now they're like, okay, I understand what that is. And so for us, I think putting together this presentation, it was really an aha moment that, we've been doing prevention for a really long time. It just looked a little different. Maybe not in the traditional prevention role.
Which is sort of why we expanded. So,
and listen, if anybody has anything to say or questions, please hop in.
Yeah, just throw something at us.
We really hate the sound of our own voices.
That is a lie. We love the sound of our own voices. We never stop talking. It's ridiculous. Okay.
That is so true. We do like to talk.
We never
talk. Just kind of the story behind, if we talk about from traditional intervention to thinking about more traditional prevention programs, how that came to be. I think for me, it really did come from some cases. Once again, it came from some real life cases. We had a school district that was that had a classroom that was there was just a lot of struggling. We were doing a lot of interviews. There was and they didn't have a lot of resources. They're more of a, you say the word because I can't say it.
Oh, rural. She cannot say that word.
I can't say that word.
Rural.
Good job.
Good job.
Thank you. And so they just didn't have a lot of resources. And so when we started doing interviews, they really kind of jumped in with us and were like, what else can we do? We need your help. What can we do? And I was like, oh my goodness, we need to do something. And we kind of started along the line of listen, if we can, and we still feel this way, if we could prevent ourselves out of a job, that would be amazing. And so I was like, there's got to be more we can do on the front side of this. Kind of that whole, well, I was going to tell that story, but I don't have it perfect in my head. About the river. Do you know the river story?
I
should have prepared for that. It just
the upriver. Yes.
Yeah. So we just want to catch people.
My bad. Sorry. Go.
She's jumpy. I shouldn't let her in charge of PowerPoint. She's always jumpy.
I am.
But anyways, we just want to catch things upstream before they go downstream, right? Is kind of the concept. So, and I love this who doesn't love Mr. Rogers, right? He's amazing. But I love this quote. When I was a boy, I would see scary things in the news. My mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. And I think that's all of us on this call. Like, that's why we do what we do. That's why we're here, because we want to help. We want to prevent. We want to do those things. And so as we were working with the school district, it just became apparent. We did like stewards of children. Hope Conversations wasn't a thing back then. This was like in 2017, I think.
Oh, this was like 16. This was very early. Yeah, very early.
All
16.
the years run together because 2020 feels like it's been 5 years. So
that's correct.
Yeah, so 2016. And so I started kind of looking around like for prevention programs, like what can we do? How can we help out this community? And we started to kind of introduce these prevention programs to this community. And like we said, it's a really small community, so they like jumped in full force. And we saw, interestingly enough, which I think is normal, we saw kind of a little bit of an increase in disclosures and people coming forward. And then once we were in the school district, I would say like a year or two, then we've seen a huge
back down.
decrease. Like we do not see cases from them very often anymore. So,
and not from the school at least,
yes,
which is where we're seeing things. So it anecdotally, it made a difference.
Prevention hasn't like track the stats, but that's just us kind of being observant about, this was a school district that a lot of things were coming out of. There was a lot of sexualized behavior, just a lot of things that were concerning. And then once we kind of started introducing these prevention programs into this community, we've really seen a decrease in that. So really cool on our side of things to see that.
Yeah, it feels like we actually were able to do some good there. A nice thing about that small community is they gave us the opportunity to really test these programs, see what works, what doesn't. And since then, we've been able to expand. Are we in 6 schools now this year for prevention? And we've already taught in this year at several schools. We've done Hope Conquers ACEs. We did stewards recently, and we're set to do several. We have another Hope Conquers ACEs coming up next week. It's really expanded it. So now what we're seeing is people in the community coming forward going, hey, we hear you have a prevention program and we want to talk about it and see if it can fit what we're doing. And so now we're doing a lot more of, we've never gone into that type of a group, but let's see if we can make it fit. It's also given us an opportunity to take prevention and mold it into something people don't expect, such as last week we hosted the first Idaho Forum on Child Maltreatment, which is going to be in Sandpoint next year, but at the CAC there. But as we did that, we were able to say, hey, we're going to have law enforcement officers, we're going to have people from probation, the juvenile justice system, health and welfare, mental health professionals, medical, all of these different people, and we're going to throw some prevention at them in a way they might not have expected to see it, where it's tied to intervention. So everybody starts to have that on their radar and understands that we should always be actively trying to prevent these things. But understanding we're still going to have to respond to it, and both can exist. So it's been very interesting. It's also interesting to note that with the National Children's Alliance what was it last year? We noticed they really started driving prevention home. So that has become a front.
Yeah, because everyone thought we were crazy.
In our area, yes. So we got a lot of pushback.
They're like, no, that's not what we do. We just do like interview advocacy. That's what we do. And I'm like, but I feel like there's a spot for us to do more. And so it was interesting going to the leadership conference for the National Children's Alliance last year, because they were really pushing prevention. And I was like, this is so exciting that like we're seeing that this we should be doing this too.
Yes.
Unfortunately, there'll always be intervention. That's unfortunately that's just how it's going to be. But we also can do this front end stuff. So it's been really exciting.
Well, and it does.
Could you talk a little bit? Could you just talk a little about the communities you work in, so that people have a perspective on the size of them or what they are? I mean, I don't know.
You bet. So we're over in Region 7. So what we you have Jefferson County, Clark County, Fremont County, Madison County, Bonneville County. I have to close my eyes to remember them all, and I'm sure I'm missing someone. But in there, you have some larger, Teton County. Yes, you have some larger cities. You have some very, very small one-horse towns in there. It's very, very spread out. You have some areas that would probably be deemed frontier. So even less populated than our rural community, we have frontier communities. So we've got a huge spread there. So with that in mind, it's a huge area geographically that we serve.
Well, the interesting thing about it, just like I talked about when we first started to kind of dip our toes into the prevention side of things, like a lot of these communities are they're just waiting for resources. Like they are just wanting someone to drive the 45 minutes. I don't know why we feel like that's so far. I love driving in my car and cranking my tunes. Like if I can leave the office, I'm like into it. I'm always the first one. They're like, we have to go somewhere. I'm like, I'll go.
Okay. I want you all have heard this because you're all my witnesses. When we get the mobile unit, that's our giant RV with the toy hauler that's got the entire CAC in it. She just said,
I didn't say I drive.
Oh, she's driving.
I'll sit in the passenger seat with you and drink my Diet Coke.
She probably will. I will drive it and I will wreck it. It's fine. But no, we don't mind traveling. That's part of our job too, is we bring the resources to them. And I think that's a little different than what a lot of CACs do. And I totally respect that. In their head, this is the center. This is where you do this. This is how it looks. Which it should. You should have a child-friendly environment for all of these types of things. You should have certain safety measures in place. If you don't have that, you've got a problem on your hands. But that's part of why we moved forward with this mobile unit project, because we need to bring the CAC to our rural communities. And eventually, we're not there yet, but eventually that mobile unit will be able to take prevention programs too.
Well, and as well as like medical, I mean, it's going to be
it's going to have a whole other, it's going to be a circus, but it'll be a good circus.
She's going to drive it. And we're taking bets on how fast we wreck it. So if you guys want in on that.
2 days. It's fine. So what, do you have any other questions about our programs? I'm going to go to the next slide before Ashley gets mad at me. These are some of the programs we use right now for prevention work. And it's an ever-growing list, not going to lie.
Yes, because we are not good at
saying no at all. So,
and then when I say we, I mean her.
It's me. It's always me. So I'm going to start with where we began, which was darkness to light. And that was something when I first came on, it was presented as an opportunity and I jumped at it. And I absolutely love the program. It's very intense. I actually had somebody who lives in another state the other day who reached out to me online and said, have you ever heard of this program? And I was like, yeah, I'm a facilitator. And she was like, so they had us do the virtual version. Nobody warned us. I did not have my earbuds in. So that was a little too intense for my office. And I was like, oh yes, we need to warn you next time. So it is intense. And I will be really honest, what we have found, and we'll talk to Hope Conquers ACEs in a minute, which I know everybody's familiar with, but we have found that, and we used it this year and it worked beautifully. If we do a 2-day or 2-hour training with Hope Conquers ACEs to get people kind of in the right headspace and emotionally prepared, and then we follow up with darkness to light, that has been a really good response, which we kind of anticipated that's how it was going to go. But darkness to light is just, it's just 0 to 60 for people. It's too much for some people. And if you really want to get people on board who are already uncomfortable with the topic in our area, where the culture is a little bit, they're not comfortable with all of this, that has been a really good way to get them there. So we started with darkness to light, and the next program we added is
we added Safer Smarter Kids. So that's just a child abuse prevention program that you teach. We just teach it in elementary school. So we teach kindergarten this year?
We are.
Kindergarten through 4th grade. Really, it's just giving kids the tools and the confidence to be able to speak up if something is uncomfortable for them or yucky. It's teaching them to tell an adult. And along with that, we also involve the teachers and the parents in that program. So every time we teach a lesson, there's a parent letter that's sent home that says, this is what we've taught your kid. Sit around the kitchen table, talk about this. Here are some extra activities. There's videos and crafts and all sorts of things that go along with it. But really, even though we're teaching the children in the school and they love it, it's so cute. They sing like the little opening song every time we go in.
Cute.
But we're also involving the whole family. So we're making sure that parents are involved. And really, it's kind of getting everybody on the same page with like the same verbiage, right? So we can have this conversation. We understand what a trusted adult is in our household. We understand that that we can tell something if we are uncomfortable or something makes us sad or mad. And it doesn't have to be something extreme like sexual abuse. It could just be Johnny hit me on the bus and I want to tell someone because it's bothering me. I mean, and it's really just getting these families kind of on the same page so that they all are speaking the same language. Because I think sometimes in this type of, child abuse is scary. It's yucky. It's uncomfortable. And I think getting families on the same page so they're speaking the same language it's really as simple as that a lot of the time. It's just making sure that we are having these conversations with our kids, and it's gone over really well. I mean, I think when we first introduced it, people were really nervous that parents are going to want to opt out. And what we do is we go to parent-teacher conference and we set up a booth and we have everything out and we talk to parents. I mean, we really get the parents involved. And then we also try to follow up with a Darkness to Light or a Hope Conquers ACEs for the parents to come to as well, just so we're making sure that all of us are on the same page, families are speaking the same language, and I think it has really been received well. But that's taken years for us to get to that point.
Yes.
But those are the things that are working for us right now.
Well, and another thing we added this year was Safer Smarter Kids, and it's part of our long game to involve more community members in prevention is we asked for active, involved parents to come help teach. So they are physically in the classrooms and they are actually teaching the lessons. We're there and we're backing them up and checking in on them, but we want the parents to take point. We want them to have more of a mastery of these concepts so that we're really activating the community. And again, it's a kids program, but I know people always get nervous that we're very specific about abuse. It's not specific about abuse. My little guy started it last year when he was in first grade, and I kind of waited to see how he would talk to me, and it would just be little things where he'd be like, so I have a thing I want to talk about, and these are my safe people to talk about. And it would be something like, I really want you to buy me this for Christmas, which I was like, listen, I am just happy you got that concept, whatever. But it taught me, and it helped me to see how kids are taking it in and how they're implementing it. So as a parent, I improve what I'm doing. And so this is kind of the way we look at Safer Smarter Kids is, yes, it is a prevention program for kids, but it's a roundabout way to involve parents in our community and to teach parents to listen to children. So that's just something we've rolled out this year that I feel really good about. I like that we have more parents involved in our prevention program, and I think we'll be able to expand them into other roles in prevention down the road. So that's our next one. And then Hope Conquers ACEs. You want me to talk on that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We've loved Hope Conquers ACEs. It has gotten us into so many doors. We use it in so many different ways. I feel like we're teaching a lesson every week without people knowing that's what we're doing.
It's sneaky.
Yes, you can sneak it, but that's part of the prevention. I mean, like, I'll use this example. We love our law enforcement, but sometimes they'll come in and be like, well, this is just a bad kid. And we can be like, okay, yeah, maybe, but let's take another look. What has this kid been through? What's going on with this kid? And we kind of help them readjust their lens when we're talking about a kid that's been victimized. So they're like, okay, maybe they're not a bad kid. Maybe horrible things happen, and this is the best way this kid knows how to respond. And we're like, yes, good job. But then down the road, what we're starting to see with our law enforcement is they're coming in with that mindset already. And when they see a kid in the community that's acting out, instead of going straight to bad kid, they're like, hey, are they okay? Which is exactly what we want.
Well, a great example is, so at the conference that we hosted last week, we also thought, what the heck will teach? Because why not? Once again, doesn't say no. So we did a Hope Conquers ACEs, but we kind of did it centered around the juvenile justice system. So like looking at those kids differently than maybe we've been looking at them. Anyways, we did for those that are familiar, we did like the trading places, but we kind of stuck a juvenile justice kid in there as one of the examples and things of that nature. And it went over really, really well. But then today I had a detective call me, and he was like, listen, he's like, this kid is struggling. What can we do to help her? Like, she's acting out, like she's on probation now. Like, can we meet together as a team and figure it out? And I was like, oh, like he listened because he was at every day of the conference. Yes. And I was like, it's a miracle. Like, so we love Hope Conquers ACEs in that realm. So with our partners that we work with, but also we've taught it to parents, which has been huge. We've taught it to teachers, which has been huge, kind of what Kimber talked about when we did the schools, following it up with Darkness to Light. really set the stage for like, wait, maybe more is going on with this kid than
Yes.
I'm realizing.
Yes.
And then when we got to Darkness to Light, it was like, oh, they might be struggling with something at home. So it just was a really good way to set the stage of that. Just that strength-based focus has been really good, really for
we just
avenues.
can use it in so many.
Yeah.
Well, and I know with one of the school ones that we did just recently for teachers, one of the things we also did is tailored it to COVID. And then kind of went, we know you guys are stressed about COVID. Have you thought about the kids? And I actually got an email about it afterwards because I said, I want to tell you what I was like, I can only speak for my kid. I want to tell you what my kid's worried about coming back to school. I said, my kid's worried about you, teacher. My kid understands he's little and he probably won't get super sick. He's scared he'll get you sick. So we had that. We said, so as you're approaching these children, realize that they're very worried about you. And what can we do to help there? And I had a teacher email me after that first day and said, I heard you on that. And as the kids walked in, I asked them and we had an honest conversation. And those kids talked about how scared they are for their teachers. And we were able to say, we're okay. You're okay. It's all going to be fine. And we were able to reassure those kids, which I was like, yes. So we can even expand it beyond abuse and into what is happening in the world. And that's important that adults just understand we need to have these conversations with kids. We need to let them know. So that's been something we're really excited about. The last one you'll see there is Botvan Life Skills. This is brand new. We are just rolling it out this year. We're not going to be able to do it to fidelity with us because we don't focus on drug abuse and alcohol abuse. And that's really what this is tailored towards. But we're able to tie in with it. So what we've done is we've trained our entire staff. We've trained some volunteers, and my lucky daughter is a senior in high school. So her senior project is helping us roll this out into the middle school. So that's where we're going to start and just kind of see how that works and how it looks and see if we can start incorporating teenagers into being a part of that particular conversation. Especially the ones, like for your senior year, we're trying it. We don't know for sure how it will look yet. But if there's something that we love, it's experimenting. So here we are.
Once again, when she says we, she means her.
It's me. It's always me. It's always my fault. So that's a new program we're trying. And what we're finding is we might go into a community and say for smarter kids is not for them. Or they do not like Darkness to Light. And so we go, okay, that's great. Guess what? We have 4 programs right now. Let's decide which one works. And we might bring Hope Conquers Aces and they're like, we love it. We think this is awesome. We want more of this. And if that's our foot in the door to help start the conversations for prevention, that's what we're going to use. Eventually, we're going to see if we can get other things in there. But at this point, whatever we can get, it's better than not having anything involved. The other thing we're finding is we're adding more community partners as we do it, because somebody will say, I really appreciated this. I want to talk to you about these things, or I want to be involved in this. And then we can bring more partners to the table. Something that Ash has always said that is very true about us is we say there's always room at the table. We're not quite sure where at the table you're sitting and what you're doing at the table, but there's room for you. And the more we say that, and the more anytime somebody says, I want to be at your table, and we're like, yes, get in here. We'll figure out what you're doing in a minute. We have had success. We've been able to help more kids. And that's really what matters, is we're helping kids and families.
And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Whether you're doing prevention, whether you're doing intervention, that is what it's about, right? Is that we're helping children, we're helping families to be better, we're helping communities to be better. At the end of the day, if that's your goal, then we've got a seat for you at our table. That's kind of how we always feel. And I think the more we've thought outside of the box of like partners that we can take these prevention programs to or work with, like the more like it's like,
well, people want, this is a case, people want to do this. Yes.
Yeah. It's just, you just
people want to help
people, and you start figuring out, there's always a way to work with someone. It's kind of what we figured out. So, and if there's not, we can always connect them with someone that makes more sense. Like a lot of times we get a lot of questions about suicide, which really isn't our,
it is not our strength.
It's not our strength. We don't do a lot with that.
We are trained in it, but
we're trained in it.
We are not the right person to take.
But we know who to connect them to if they need programs or assistance or something that way. So it never hurts to just have all these community partners in your back pocket.
Well, but it makes sense. And that's something it is, because that's one where people say we want suicide prevention. We're like, listen, we are not your girls, but QPR is for you. Here's the name of your instructor. Get her over there. And then we contact the instructor and say, hey, we've got somebody interested, just so you know. We can do that warm handoff. That's our That's one of our favorite things, is doing a warm handoff to make sure we go, hey, here's this person. I think you guys will really be able to work together and move forward. It just helps everybody. So now I'm going to, oh yeah. Do you have any questions, thoughts, concerns? This is a good moment.
Tell us to stop talking.
You can.
Hi guys, this is Maureen. I'm just wondering, I'm happy to hear that you're doing so much Hope Conquers ACEs. Are there any particular lesson plans in the Strong book that you have found to be real, that you like a lot or whatever? Because I'm going to be doing some classes and we're trying to figure out, you know, which ones go over the best.
I think we always do Nash. We always do,
and we use Nash in sneaky ways without always calling them Nash.
Yeah.
So like Nash is a really good one to use for a lot of things.
and then we always do the resilience one with like the, you know, the ABC, you know,
Yes.
A through C.
Oh, the
game.
7
We always
C's,
do
the
that
7
one.
C's.
Yes, that one's fun because she is professional and I egg on the audience, and it usually works really well for us.
We usually do icebreakers.
Mhm. Oh yes, and we follow that actually with a story about signs, and that's really, I should send that to you because there's a story that came to my mind the first time we taught it, and we have used it ever since, because that story, when you add it in with the icebreaker with the little note card thing, it really drives a point home with people, and I think almost every time they walk away saying something about that.
Oh,
So
good.
I'll
Send
send
that to me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. And then the how may I help you is huge when we're working with, like, well, really anybody that's, you know, in the community, like community partners or teachers. That's been huge. And then at the conference we did the trading places. That was the first time
Yes.
we've done trading places, but
It went really
good.
well.
So I think those are the
good.
main ones that we've done.
Yeah, we've liked those. They've
Okay.
gone well, but it is one of those. She goes through the book and is like, "This is what we're trying," and we test it out, and it's been going really well.
Oh,
Can I
good.
borrow, Maureen, that there's like so many different ones to choose from. Like we can cater to almost any audience or anything, and I just love that. I love going through the book and being like, "What's going to work today? What's going to work?" I mean, so kudos to you guys, because it's such a great resource for us.
Well, it's just given us so much room to use it, and we can always pull something out of our pocket, even if we're at a meeting and we've just decided this is a moment we want to teach something. We can just boom and slide it in, and they don't even know what we're doing. Which sometimes that's how you have to teach. So we are not very sneaky. You've all been warned. We're super sneaky.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other thoughts, questions on what we've chitty-chatted about so far? Okay, I'm going to get this bad. Okay, what minute am I going to?
17 minutes, 12 seconds.
Okay, hold on, gang.
But don't play it quite yet.
Okay, I won't play it quite yet.
Pause it. You guys, we're professionals. Look at this.
Look at that.
That was 20 something.
Okay.
You got to go to 12.
12 minutes?
No, 17 minutes, 12 seconds.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I'm
apologize.
real specific.
Okay, I'm on it. You continue talking.
Okay, so we just wanted to share this kind of to wrap up. Like I said before, we're kind of, obviously we're all in this because our heart's in helping children and helping prevent it or intervene when necessary. And so this is Lauren Book. She's actually the creator of Safer, Smarter Kids. She is a survivor of some pretty horrific child sexual abuse. In fact, if I would recommend Googling her, but she has a master's in education. Her and her dad are now legislatures in Florida. They have a nonprofit. They just do a lot of awesome work. And I just wanted to kind of end with this because she has a really good perspective. Obviously, she's a survivor, so she's had intervention, but now her heart has been called to. So I think it just really wraps up what we all do. And so,
Yes, I'm going to start it.
I am unfortunately certain are yet to come. So I ask myself, and I'll let you ask me again, why do I do what I do? Because I want to be a part of worldwide systemic change in which we can and do teach our children how to be safe. Because if it means saving one child like me, letting them know that it's okay to tell and that it's okay to heal, then it's worth it. That's my why. This advocate will fight until she has no breath, left in her body to make things different for kids like me and millions living across the globe. Because I know each and every one of us in this room and beyond would agree it shouldn't hurt to be a child, and all too often it does. Maya Angelou, who is also a survivor, said, "We delight in the beauty of a butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty." Some of the most incredible and impactful people I know have also survived some sort of trauma and lived to tell about it. For many, it's this place of unthinkable pain that's become the X, that's driven them to create some sort of pivotal and incredibly meaningful change. They've had to dig deep, asking, seeking, questioning, and discovering the why to be as effective as possible and true agents of positive, sustainable change. So before I leave you, I have some final thoughts on finding your X and why, lessons for current and future world changers in this room and beyond. Face your dark. Don't run from dark places. Don't be afraid to dig into the painful and uncomfortable things you've experienced and to ask why. That just could be where you find your power, your X. Remember, your story is unlike anyone else's. Embrace it. Let it empower you. Be authentic, even with vulnerabilities. Not everyone will get you. Not everyone will like you. Accept that. It does not matter. Use your power to change the world in ways that are meaningful to you. Decide what is unacceptable in your world or your life that you can change, and change that because you can. Find your X, recruit a team to make your vision a reality. Get other people excited and ask why with you. If you would have asked that 11-year-old little girl in oversized overalls and fear in her heart if she'd be standing in front of you, a crowd of academics and professionals, of learners, leaders, and doers, and probably more survivors than any of us would care to realize, I'm not sure that she'd believe it to be possible. But she had no idea her abuse would become her X, her driving force, or that it would transform into something new. Advocacy, rooted in the continued need to find the why. So what's my Z? Stay tuned. We've covered A, F, I, V, P, T, S, D, and X. So for now, let's all stick to digging a little deeper and challenging ourselves to ask why.
So I would say if you have time, TED Talk, it's really, really worth it. But I love that. I think it's so powerful. Like, what is our why? Why are we doing what we do? And then how can we collaborate to do it with other people? So we enjoy that. That's kind of one of our favorite things. And now that we've kind of grown from like just 2 of us to, we're not that big, to 5 of us.
It feels huge some days.
But we're able to do a lot more of that stuff now, collaborating, teaching the prevention, which is really exciting for us. And so, and thank you guys for what you do. I know a lot of what you guys do is hard, heavy stuff. I know, you know, we all have a heart for it. And so thank you from us. Thank you for what you do. And thank you for letting us be a part of this today. So hopefully you learned something, or if not, you were entertained. I don't know, but thank you.
Maybe some of both. Should we should open it for some conversation. I am interested in this sort of idea that you're promoting the idea that the intervention is a prevention strategy. I think that's kind of I know there's kind of that question of, how do these cycles, right, work, in some way, so that if you prepare the next, a parent in such a way that that parent he becomes, the kind of parent that, is not going to be an abusive parent, or learns something, or helps to, impact another, another parent in their circle. Those are all prevention things. I guess the reason we make the distinctions is because we can get so focused on, dealing with fixing and, the problem that comes, but from the aftermath of not preventing. And so we kind of make the distinction in order to be able to talk about, okay, this is the thing we're trying to do to make sure it never occurs. And then there is the next one, which is, what can we do to make it not occur again? And those two things, we do distinguish between those. I mean, I know that sometimes it probably doesn't make any sense. And one of the things I was interested in asking you to do this, and I know Scott's had this, we've had the same conversation with Scott too, is that, these organizations like domestic violence shelters and CACs are set up really as intervention mechanisms. But I know that as time has gone on, people have recognized that they can do some of both, within the same context. So, it's a reflection, I guess, on my part.
Well, and I mean, I remember the first time I came to an Idaho Children's Trust Fund meeting, which was a minute ago. It was a while ago.
2016.
I remember being like, I'm so excited to be like a part. I felt like I was like one of the first CACs, I felt like it was like a newer concept that I was there, but it was so exciting to because I was interested in the prevention side of things and I really wanted to see how they could go together. And so thank you guys for seeing beyond what we just were, which was mostly traditionally intervention. I mean, you guys saw that there was a place for us at the table. So kudos to Idaho Children's Trust Fund for that.
Yeah, because it really has, and it hasn't just rolled us down this road. And I will say the fact that two of us came in and knew nothing about anything. And so we were like, what if we try this? And that didn't work to our benefit.
If we're anything, we are not scared to look stupid.
Yeah, we're like, we might be idiots, but we're just going to see what happens. So that has worked to our advantage. But with that in mind, as that's gone forward, we've turned to other CACs and been like, hey guys, why aren't we doing more prevention? Why aren't we focusing? And it has been a conversation that we're continuing to have with all of the other CACs in Idaho. The Idaho Network of Children's Advocacy Centers is something where we meet several times a year. We have monthly meetings, and it's become a conversation of, hey guys, why aren't we doing more here? Why aren't we looking at this picture here? And it's been exciting to see them go, you know what, actually, we are doing this and we hadn't really realized we were doing prevention work, but we are, and we should expand. Something really cool that St. Luke's does that I want to do, and she won't let me, which is rude, is they do a prevention puppet show. And they
guys, she wants me to dress in all black, like a mask on and everything, into a puppet show.
That's how you do it when you're puppeteering, okay?
That's a no.
That is legitimately how it's done. Either way, they have the costume, they have the full-size puppets, they come into like a 20-minute prevention program, and it is so cool. We got to sit through one of them when we were at St. Luke's for one of our INCSC meetings, and I was like, you're doing this prevention program? Yeah, we probably have done it in front of 1,000 people a couple times now. And I'm like, that's huge. That's amazing. That is 20 minutes where they're getting that little bit, and it opens the door to all these different communities and different partners that we could be reaching out to. I was like, so cool. Again, she won't let me, but one day it's on my radar now. I want puppets. She wants puppets. I want puppets back.
She wants she wants puppets. You guys see what I'm dealing with on the daily?
Is this why you did this, so that we could, really, so you could expose each other's?
Yeah, this is like a counseling session.
A counseling session for you.
Yes. Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry.
We've recently been in conversations with Molly at CARES and having that conversation about how we might link in actually doing Stewards of Children in conjunction with the puppet show, so that we could do something with teachers and or parents, if there's parents available, yes, so that we could do the puppet work. They could do the puppet work. And actually some of this, they're recording it. They're going to do it as a virtual puppet show, or not virtual, I guess, recorded, so that it can be used, by other people. So the puppet show thing is going to be expanded, so that means Ashley doesn't even have to dress up in order to actually have the puppet show as part of the thing.
Now she's happy. No, but that's cool. And Molly is amazing to work with. That's the thing, is Molly is one of those, I love working with her over at St. Luke's, but that's been something it's something we credit Idaho Children's Trust Fund with teaching us, hey, we're going to step out of our comfort zone and see what happens and let it grow. And then we're going to share it with all of our friends. And we're going to make sure that everybody knows this is awesome and fun. And it was something where it started there. And The worst thing that happens is people tell you to go away, and listen, we're not scared of that.
We've heard worse.
Yeah. So we're like, bring it. You will love us. And that's
Well, this is, and this is part of why we do this, right? Is so that, people across the state can see kind of what's going on in different places, with you guys out in Eastern Idaho, and it's a different scene than, people living in the Treasure Valley. And, what does that all look like? And, what are we, how does that,
yeah, I mean,
Phoebe, Phoebe, are you new? I don't think I've met you. So
yes. Hi, and sorry for jumping on a little bit late here too, but this has been fantastic. So yeah, I'm Phoebe, and I'm a new health program specialist. I work at Idaho Department of Health and Welfare and Community and Environmental Health, and among a couple of programs that I support is a sexual violence prevention program. So we love the prevention angle, and I'm happy to learn, more about these different things you've mentioned and sort of hear what's going on in other parts of Idaho, because it's all extremely new to me.
what were you doing before coming here? There,
I was working
wherever you are.
Yeah, I was working in California, and I was at a research institute as part of the University of California for about 3.5 years. And I was working also in public health, but very much in like a very kind of narrow focus just on nutrition and that contribution to diseases and issues and things like that. So with this new job, I've really kind of expanded my understanding of contributory factors to just population health in general, one of them being violence prevention. So it's been a great new experience for me.
Are you in the position that Katie Palmer had, or is this a different position?
No, Katie Palmer, the person who's there is now Heidi Cook.
Oh, Heidi, right. I know Heidi. Okay, good.
Yeah,
She's been on a lot of these calls. Okay.
I support Heidi, so you can sort of think of me as Heidi's co-pilot.
Got it. Okay.
Or sous chef is a better analogy, actually.
I like both. I'm down with both.
But really nice to meet all of you.
Anybody else have any comments or questions or conversation around this, or I suppose anything else?
I appreciate the Upper Valley's enthusiasm. You guys are always so oozing with positivity. And it clearly comes out. So thank you.
Do you guys serve up into Salmon? Do they come up to your place?
We collaborate.
We've collaborated. Yeah, we listen. If Scott would con us into going up to visit, we love the food there.
We love Goldbug.
We love Goldbug, so we're always like, please invite us over, Scott.
Scott.
Well, if they're going to talking about Goldbug openly on the internet to whomever could listen, that would be reason not to invite them. We don't need more people to Goldbug.
Whoa! Shots fired!
Yeah, I got those Killer Bee license plates over there already. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, Kimber's come up for I believe, a Darkness to Light, and one other thing, I believe.
We've done a forensic up there. We've been up there a couple times, but we love the Salmon area. I totally want to con you into checking out the mobile unit when we have it, because the council really wants us to share that far and wide, and that's the dream. So any way you want to collaborate, let's do it, please.
Sure. I'm curious to see and hear how this mobile unit is going to work, because it just seems an interesting concept.
In the Midwest, they've really done well with it.
I'm with you on that. When she first brought it up, I was like,
she looked at me and she's like, no. And I was like,
no. Scott, are you still planning to do a CAC, or is that kind of just, I don't know, is that maybe this is impolitic? Is that?
Well, it's
not the plan.
The various levels of accreditation, we don't want to become fully certified top level. It just doesn't seem to be to match our needs. And I've kind of resigned myself to realize that we have some work to do with our local MGT team to get everyone on the same page and to make sure that we're following best practices and currently right now, that's where our attention and focus is. And John and I both just recently became forensic interviewers in June. And John has provided, I think, 3 up to this point. And for whatever reason, usually they hold my gender against me and don't let me do any of them. But
Oh, jeez.
one of these days.
Listen, I'll send you the study that shows it doesn't matter what gender you are, because there is a study that shows that it's not about that. It's about the skill of the interviewer. So I will send that. But we need to get you guys on for our virtual peer reviews. And if you ever do want to talk turkey about it, because we just submitted for our national accreditation, I have said she loves it when I do this. I have some theories about how we can rope you guys in without you guys being held to certain things and make it work for you, and maybe make it possible for you to be open to funding in that way. So just if you ever want to talk, I love collaborating. It's my favorite.
Sure. That sounds good.
And guys, let me jump in. I worked for a program in Cincinnati, Ohio called Healthy Moms and Babes. And for 8 years, we drove around in a 34-foot van into all the neighborhoods. I can give you lots and lots of tips and tricks. I did take out a mailbox and we hit a fence, but
So there you go.
Other than that, we really did learn a lot of tips. You have to have 2 people. I mean, you have to have one to get out, and you learn how to do the.
Yep. See,
it's like you're doing an airplane,
Yes. So Maureen is now my co-pilot,
Yes.
and you'll be my Molly too, because Molly got the other unit. So we each got a unit, and Molly and I are getting matching hats. We're so excited.
Oh my gosh.
I know, really
The hardest thing is that you don't have a rear view. You know what? So you really get used to those side mirrors, and you can learn everything you need from those side mirrors. So you'll do fine.
Well, we'll have to have the separate workshop on driving the mobile unit. But that will be for a later time. And now it is the top of the hour. I'm going to call this to an end. Thank you, guys. Thanks for doing this thing. Phoebe, nice to see you on here. Taisha, I guess we didn't see you, but good to have you on here. There were about 10 people on previously, so I guess we've lost a few. But anyway, see you all. Take care. We will have something next week that'll come out, and in 2 weeks we're doing a thing on community schools with somebody from Caldwell, so that should be really cool. All right. Bye, all. Take care.
Thank you, Roger.
Have a good week.